special hosts for this evening, Spencer Love, Chris Parrish, and a very special guest.
Yeah, see, we're special every time that this show's done.
I'm just special.
But he's very.
Yeah, but today I get
no
to be
name.
very special.
Yeah, thanks very much,
New
Mike,
and special.
for carrying us right off the bat. Hello, friends. This is Spencer Love. Obviously, you guys can hear my voice a little rough around the edges today. Clandestine Society taking place last night. I am shot. I'm surprised that these guys are not as well. However, still here for Over the Top Rope Live, the final OTTR Live of the decade, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. Before we get to you, Parrish.
We're not going to disappoint our fans.
Of course not. You can't. The fan needs to see us.
And they're always invited.
Hold on, speaking of seeing you, give me 1 second here, guys.
There you go. Now you can see our pretty faces.
Beautiful.
Right?
Close to our pretty faces.
No, they can see yours. I'm also in here.
Chastise.
Oh my God, we finally got your faces.
There we
All
are.
right, let's get going here, guys.
Thank you very much, Mike. Of course, Parrish, before we get to yourself, special guest of the show this week, Anthony Graham, joining us from the WrestleSode podcast and the latest edition of the WCSN. Anthony, great to have you on board. Before we get to OTTR Live, give a little bit of a shout out who you are, what you do, where you come from in Albertan professional wrestling.
Hey y'all, it is I, Anthony the Canadian guy, and I come from the podcast WrestleSode, where I mix improv and humor both into reviews and lists about wrestling here in Alberta and all over the world. And I come from Alberta, come from just a small town just east of Calgary, and I'm also a really handsome gentleman, so there you go.
Well, third place is very becoming of you as far as that conversation goes this week, but not here to rate ourselves on looks. You can do that in the comments wherever you are watching here on Backbreaker Media, whether Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any OTTR Live as we head into 2020. As we approach 2020, folks, the final WWE Pay-Per-View of the year, WWE TLC, taking place tonight. Very, very excited, gentlemen. I'm going to start with you, Parrish. Overall thoughts on WWE TLC 2019?
I'm going to be very shocked if this doesn't end up being one of the more untalked about pay-per-views, if I'm being completely honest. There's not much I'm looking forward to. However, it is these pay-per-views that tend to surprise me the most.
Fair
so I'm
enough.
keeping a very open eye on it.
Absolutely, man. Anthony, yourself.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree that this one might go down in the annals of history as maybe one of the more forgotten pay-per-views, but one thing in particular that I am very excited for is Bray Wyatt's first match as Firefly Funhouse Bray, as opposed to The Fiend, because there's a lot of curiosity as to what's really going to be happening with Bray Wyatt, how he's going to be wrestling, and exactly how strong the Firefly Bray Wyatt is going to be.
100% agree, man. I know we're going to talk about that a little later bit on in the show, but Mike, before we get to the first match, of course, got to give our shout out to Beercade YEG, the home of Edmonton Wrestling, the host of TLC's OTTR Live. Mike?
And some breaking news here, the specials for today, they have actually changed a little bit. Not only are they $4 drinks, but you also get the Royal Burger, the single burger for $4, as well as pretzel bites, and popcorn chicken.
But wait,
there we go.
And I know, Mike, that makes you a happy camper as far as things goes. If you guys do want to come down to Beercade YEG, 105th Street, 82nd Avenue here in Edmonton, Alberta, the home of Edmonton Wrestling, Beercade YEG, and what is sure to be a great pay-per-view. I'm sure you're going to run into a ton of individuals from the Clandestine Society show last night. Again, cannot talk enough about that. And if you do want to hear us talk about a little bit more on Albertan wrestling, the Backbreaker Media Awards launching this morning on the WCSN. So go and check those out. While you're on your way here, you can listen on your favorite podcast network and come down and support Beercade YEG. $4 menu items, $4 drinks, and WWE TLC. Mike, let's get into our first match.
Oh, the one good thing about tonight is we got some matches here that I don't think any of us really want to talk about a whole lot. I'll just be straight up and forward.
Well, I can't.
Well, let's go right off the bat. The divorce, crazy relationship match. I'm throwing you a doozy right off the bat here.
All right,
a tables match. Rusev versus Lashley.
I am excited for this, despite the fact that this has been one of the most wildly weird, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, angles in a long, long time. First and foremost, I do have to say, Rusev, this is another example of the fact that this guy can take bullshit and turn it into absolute gold, because the way that he's able to operate, whether it's his sort of slow descent into madness as far as the whole thing's gone, the way that he's even reacting to things like I bring up, either it was last week or the week before, but where he even threw to the video on the Tron, and the way he did it was just so ridiculous and over the top, and the way that he's able to do anything in pro wrestling and make it a little bit more successful than really it's got any right to be. Always appreciate about it. Now, is this a good storyline? No, I don't like it whatsoever. I do think that this does need to be something where the good guy gets the win.
The storyline doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Lana seems like she's someone who can get around.
Well, and that is something that's been unfortunately a little all too consistent as far as the way they've booked any time that Lana and Rusev have been separated. We all remember the unfortunate Summer Rae, Dolph Ziggler, Lana Rusev angle of a few years ago, and how wildly unsuccessful to me that was.
Can I also point out, if she's going to wear dresses like that green one and they got arrested, I will watch Lana on mute every day of the week.
Hey, she's a hell of a promo as well, but
She's also very easy to look
Anthony,
at.
just because I will end it after this, I'm going to get to my prediction for it. I think Rusev has to win this one. This is where you want to give the crowd a bit of a feel-good. You have been booking this to hopefully make him advance a little bit further. Bobby Lashley can recover in his next feud. I love Rusev. Go Rusev. Celebrate Rusev Day once again. Anthony.
Yeah, I gotta go with Rusev as well, and I'll give my explanation. I as well do not necessarily enjoy this storyline. So far, the best thing that has come out of it, in my opinion, has been Rusev's Donald Duck shirt when he was signing the divorce papers. So, I mean, if
You want to
that's
hear a great story? I was wearing a Donald Duck shirt when I got home, and
that same
I was
day.
watching that, and it said "not today," and I'm like, "This is the most ironic thing
I
ever."
thought you were going to say when you got arrested.
Well, I mean, I steal a show occasionally.
But so I haven't necessarily been intrigued by this storyline. However, I do love Rusev, and I definitely think that Rusev is going to be going over in this feud against Bobby Lashley. I think they're going to be trying to push Rusev a little bit, probably up in the mid-card somewhere. We'll see what they're going to be doing with him after this. I would love to see a better storyline, but until then, at least his dress attire for the situation I think has been appropriate.
Parrish, your thoughts really quickly before we move on. This is the first time we've had 3 people on the show, so we've even got to shut ourselves
The
up.
3 best friends that anyone can like. But no, I'm actually going to pick Bobby Lashley to win. I'm going to pick Bobby Lashley to win because of disqualification. I think Rusev is going to beat the crap out of Bobby Lashley to the point to where he gets thrown out. I do believe this is not going to be the end of this feud.
How do you get disqualified in the tables match?
I don't know. How do you get disqualified in a Hell in a
I
Cell
don't want to
match?
talk about it.
Well, because it ends in a no
I know,
contest.
stop.
That was their...
We don't talk about that.
I normally
here.
don't give my predictions, but I'm going to throw one out here.
Please do.
As far as I'm concerned, I would like this to be like when the Canucks and the Flames play in Calgary, and the Saddle Dome roof collapses just in. Nobody wins.
But nobody gets hurt. We're all about
Exactly,
safety here on the
everybody
WCSN.
You know what? I'm going to say something. This, however, has been some of the most viewed clips on YouTube for the WWE. And considering they really like money, I think I might have to agree with Chris now at being a no contest and continuing this feud.
And let's move on, because we've talked about this way too long.
I agree.
Predict out of worlds.
Well, we got a double prediction coming up with our next one. And this is an open challenge by the Viking Raiders.
It's a DP.
They're offering to put their titles up on the line. Shut up. Who do you think they're going to go against? And who do you think is going to come up on top, Spencer?
I can tell you right now, the OC, the Viking Raiders. That's it, that's all.
And who wins?
Oh, the Viking Raiders.
Okay.
That's my prediction is the OC, the win is the Viking Raiders.
I threw 3 scenarios out there, and I'm going to throw it out there. One, I think the fans would actually probably be shocked with is the returning Usos. I also think that if they want to go very WWE-esque, Authors of Pain, but what makes the most sense are the OC. But I'm going to predict new tag team champions, the OC.
Okay.
Ooh. All right. So I'm going to go, I guess, in a little bit of a curveball here. And because I'm kind of a nerd, I look at stats and everything, and I see that in the rating wars, NXT and AEW tied this week. I think WWE is too greedy, and I think it's going to be the Undisputed Era, and they're going to try to say that they want all the gold. That doesn't necessarily mean only in NXT. They're going to bring the Undisputed Era up because they know they're going to be putting on a great match against the Viking Raiders, but the Viking Raiders would indeed retain in
this
scenario.
show affects your future appearances, right?
That's true. I don't like that prediction.
You know what, guys? We've gone.
Prediction.
Anthony.
I want to do out of the box. I don't want to be necessarily the correct one.
19.
You just made Jack
Fun.
Brad's
All right,
list.
guys,
I am thinking League of Nations. We're gonna get Sheamus and Rusev.
there you go. Well, now
The Brood.
You know what, guys? We've gone through the crap. I think is the best way to put it.
Muddled waters.
Now we got a match that I personally think might be match of the night.
Okay.
Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy.
These are one of those matches, and I love pro wrestling for the fact that even when seemingly, to me, it's pretty obvious, or I think it's pretty predictable that Aleister Black will win this one. I think that he is the guy that should win this one. They really haven't built Buddy Murphy up to be anything more than a great wrestler who loses a lot yet. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing right now. But I think that this is going to be a great match. I am so excited to watch these two square off. I believe it's the first time ever. And you know, you just look at the two talents involved. They're both unbelievable in their own way. I think it's pretty obvious, though, that Aleister Black is the guy that WWE's invested in a little bit more, consistently on TV, appearing in vignettes. He's always there, and I think that you want to invest in him because he's got a unique look, because he's got a unique feel about him. Have him pull off the win here.
Yeah, I actually have to agree with you 100%. I think Aleister Black is going to go away with this, and I also agree it will be the match of the night. These two can't put on a bad match. Yeah. Buddy Murphy's Law is one of the coolest looking finishers, and that Black Mass is booked so strong. But I agree, Aleister Black will be going over in this. He needs some really good wins inside the ring, and he hasn't been losing when he's in that ring, so I got to say it's Aleister Black.
Parrish?
I honestly believe that these two guys have an opportunity tonight to do something that normally they probably wouldn't have, and that is be a marquee match on a show, get real time, just to show the world what they're able to do. I do believe Aleister Black is going to get the win. What I do like about this is the real first Buddy Murphy primary feud that he's had on the main roster. He's had the one with the whole the Rowan and Daniel Bryan attack with Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
But I do think it's going to be one of these matches that's going to be designed, yes, to make Aleister Black look good in a win, but make Buddy Murphy look great in a loss, just like the Roman Reigns match.
Now, like you say, this is something that he's really picking his first fight, to use Aleister Black's own words with it. Do you see this as a feud that continues? Do you see Aleister Black potentially taking his first loss on the main roster?
No, and I do believe this is the best way, because I do think with the Royal Rumble coming up next, it's a great way to have Aleister Black in a match, lose, and not really eat any really a big loss.
Okay.
And I do believe that getting steam into the Rumble, I mean, lately we've missed guys having that, who could be the next guy to win a Rumble thing. And I think this is a good way to start promoting the Rumble and making guys look like they're really good shots at it. And I think Aleister Black is in a better position right now than Buddy Murphy. But I think Buddy Murphy is in the best position to steal a show, have one of the best performances. This is exactly what guys like Seth Rollins were before they won the Universal title or the WWE title. This is what Shawn Michaels was when he was winning the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
And I think this is a position he needs, and I think it's going to establish him of whether or not he's in the contention of the U.S. title moving forward.
Okay, Anthony, before we move on here real quick, I want to get your opinion.
Sure.
Do you think Aleister Black's been underutilized or misutilized on the main roster?
1,000%.
Okay.
Because the man not only is a great promo, the man is an amazing wrestler, and the fact that we only see him wrestle how many times since he's been on the main roster, to me is a shame. But, I mean, look how they used him in NXT. He was there every week. He didn't even have to use words, and he was so enthralling. He could be that on the main roster, but I think they're just waiting to pick their spots with him. So
Sounds good, Mike. We'll move on real quick. Here's my 30 seconds or less rebuttal. I don't believe so. I think that he's gotten enough consistent TV time in a world where not a lot of people get consistent TV time. He's undefeated on the main roster. He's looked good in every match he has had. Like you say, the Black Mass is one of the most protected finishers in wrestling overall.
Yep.
I don't think that there's anybody who's looking and saying he's been devalued since he's on the main roster because, as you've mentioned before, he's got his mystique about him. He's sort of got this wow factor about him that I think keeps him unique, keeps him hot, and keeps him as the guy to watch going forward in the new year. Mike, I'm not allowing a rebuttal. We're moving on.
3-second rebuttal. Guess again. Go, Mike.
From guys from guys that flip up their words to guys that flip up coming out on stage, as you see on GIFs this week. Let's go with the ladder match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The New Day taking on the Revival.
Oh boy, Parrish, I'm going to let you open this one up as the resident tag team expert of the WCSN.
But you're my partner.
There are a lot of ways to
And I had
interpret
better not hear
one.
that anytime soon.
Well, he's my WCSN partner.
All right.
I know. It's funny. I'm saying this to a man named Love with TLC coming up. The irony is amazing. However, the Revival, I think sent a great shot of actually winning this match, to be honest, because I do believe in two reasons. One, I think you want to establish that all New Day members have a shot of going into the Royal Rumble with a good shot of winning it, especially Kofi. It's a great rebound after losing the WWE title. He needs that. Or sorry, two, I guess. Xavier Woods is out. My apologies on that one. But we always forget about him anyway.
That's not true. I love him.
No, he's
You're right.
I mean, anyway, but I also believe that this is a great negotiation tactic for WWE to keep the Revival signed. And I think this is the big thing that they like to do is give guys a title just to say, hey, please stay with us. We saw this with Dean Ambrose. We saw this with the Usos before they got titles, arrested, whatever. But we see, and something WWE is known to do, so I wouldn't push it past WWE to have the Revival become the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions.
I guess so, but they've already done that. Like, the Revival were already the SmackDown Tag Team Championships as recently as a month ago, and they've purportedly, of course, we don't have any information outside of that, but, like, they've purportedly not signed new contracts. They've had multiple tag team championship reigns across Raw and SmackDown. To me, that's the exact reason why you do keep it on the New Day, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but there have been consistent appearances, not just appearances, but by the tag team champions, a U.S. champion, intercontinental champion, appearing in the Royal Rumble over years past. And I think that regardless of Kofi being a tag team champion, I just think that means that you won't win it if he enters the Royal Rumble. But I still do see Kofi Kingston entering the Rumble, standing a good shot. Like, he'll be one of the last guys in it, I think.
Yeah.
I'm calling the New Day on this one. They've just gotten championships back. They're great. Keep it hot.
Before I rebuttal that, I'll let you go.
Abuse.
Yeah. So
I'm drinking. Back off. On the beautiful $4 beers at Beercade YEG.
home of Edmonton Wrestling. No. But it's no surprise the Revival are my favorite tag team. I love the Revival, absolutely. And when they have,
yeah.
well, you're wrong.
I
So
think it's a surprise.
it's a surprise. I love the Revival.
Appearance on here. I think it's a surprise to everyone.
Well, obviously everybody who's watching is my fans. So
This
there you
is
go.
new information to us all.
All right, so surprise for all the new listeners out there, the Revival are my favorite tag team. However, I am also probably going to be going with the New Day on this one. As much as I love the Revival, I honestly don't believe they will be sticking around WWE, even if they were given a title opportunity. I think at this point it's a lost cause. I don't think they're going to be moving forward with this. Give them a great match, but let the New Day win. I think the Revival lose tonight.
Come on, man. I already cried yesterday. Don't make me cry again.
I'm
The
sorry.
Revival not being in WWE.
I know.
But I'm just going to say, if WWE doesn't try to keep the Revival at any cost necessary, that's a bigger slip than Dash Wilder on SmackDown. Mike, what's the next match?
Well, one thing.
I'm sorry, but that was way too good.
That's okay.
Here's my bold prediction, and then we're going to actually throw it to a quick break here because, we still have to pay some bills here.
Sounds excellent.
And a rookie here decided to buy some wings, and they're getting cold right now.
I like cold wings.
Anthony.
I
So
love cold wings.
My bold prediction,
Liquid died all the way.
AEW Revolution, February 29th, you're going to see the Revival. That's my
Okay.
prediction. But with that,
Okay.
we're going to go to a commercial break here, folks. Make sure you get down here to Beercade. We got $4 drinks, $4 Royal Burger, $4 pretzel bites, $4 popcorn chicken. and a whole lot of good stuff. You guys got anything to say before we go to break?
No, we will just see you after it here on Over the Top Rope Live.
Unlike last night at Clandestine, if you buy me a beer, I will drink it.
From Lanny McDonald to Daryl Sutter, Mark Messier to Cale McCarr. Before you're a star, you've got to make it in the AJHL. On Saturday mornings, TSN 1260 takes an in-depth look inside the Alberta Junior Hockey League. Join Tyler Yaremchuk from 9 to 10 a.m. for previews, reviews, and interviews from around the AJ. Inside the AJHL, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. Only on Edmonton's sports leader, TSN 1260.
Hello friends, this is Spencer Love, the host of Conversations with Love, the exclusive one-on-one interview series sweeping the nation, or at the very least, the great province of Alberta, Canada. Tune in weekly to Backbreaker Media, a proud member of the Win Column Sports Network, as I host a member of the independent wrestling community here in Alberta, or wherever the hell I feel like interviewing somebody from. You can only find it on Backbreaker Media, a proud member of the Win Column Sports Network, and proudly sponsored by Beercade YEG.
Hey, do you have a moment? Perhaps you're sitting at your cubicle, daydreaming, staring out the window. Maybe you're at home, TV droning on in the background as you flip through social media. Maybe you're at the airport. Have somebody coming up to you going, "We'd like to talk to you for a moment about our Lord and Savior." You can tell them, "No, thank you. I have a moment with Maniac." It's right here on the Win Column Sports Network. Come listen to it as I talk about wrestling pay-per-views, as I talk to other wrestlers in the Alberta indie scene, and I talk about pretty much whatever comes to mind. I have no agenda. I have nothing. I just have a moment to entertain you. Tune in.
The following advertisement is sponsored by Beercade YEG. Hello, you are listening to a commercial for the podcast Over the Top Rope, the flagship podcast of the Win Column Sports Network, as well as a proud member of Backbreaker Media. Again, this podcast is sponsored by Beercade YEG. You can find us pretty well anywhere that podcasts are played, including on the iTunes, Podbean, the Google Play, SoundCloud, and on wincolumnsports.ca for all your previews, reviews, and breaking news from the world of professional wrestling. Tune in every Friday on Backbreaker Media, a member of Win Column Sports.
Are you looking for the newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and hundreds of others with fresh content added every day for only $5.99 per month. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
All right, folks, we are back right out of the blue. For some reason, that commercial keeps cutting off, so I'm going to have to work on that. You can see here, once again, Boxing Day, gift card exchange, hell of a New Year's party coming up. Since I got the pictures of Beercade up, guys, you want to talk about Beercade itself right now and how great this facility is?
Beercade, founded in 1894, I believe, by Sir Nathan Beer. Actually thought to himself, boy, the second floor of this apartment building looks great. From there, he started installing a bunch of arcade games or just reinventing what they previously had already inscribed on the walls. And from there, it became what it is today. The aid came actually because in 1916, it was used as a medical and aid station as part of World War I. So there's your just little bit of history, and they have now evolved into a place that has such great games as foosball, bubble hockey, checkers.
The Simpsons arcade game.
And you forgot basketball, the thing that you're always attached
Yeah,
to.
that I'm not really all that good at, but I try my best. I have fun just like I do on Over the Top Rope Live.
All right, so we're back, and we got 3 more matches to go. And I sort of lied to you guys earlier when I said
I'm out.
We looked good.
Well, I said I said we got through all the crap.
Oh, damn.
Well, we got one match here that pretty much is dog food, no pun intended. We got a TLC match with Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin.
King Corbin.
Now,
Thank you.
Before we get into this, because this is a match that, again, to me, I like talking about the result first because you just get her out of the way. There's no real pretense. For me, I think that this is another match where you have to have the babyface go over just because of the way that he's been treated throughout the feud. If Baron Corbin is to win through any other means than 15 people come out and aid him for whatever reason, I think it's a silly decision. I think this is something that Roman Reigns is going to win. Number one, Roman always wins, and I don't think that's even an annoying thing to say by this point. But number two, just because of the way the storyline's been handled. Now, what I really want to hear on both of your parts, Baron Corbin, do you guys think that he's a great heel because we hate him, or is he a terrible heel because of how people hate him?
Well, first I'm gonna let you have the honors at starting this off because
So
I'm a good host.
We
yeah.
can both tell you you're wrong.
So you could both tell me.
You're opposite either way.
That's fine. That's fine. So you can, if you don't agree
nicer
with
than me.
Baron Corbin is a fantastic heel, one of the greatest out there, because nobody likes him. He literally does what the job of a heel is. In the eyes of wrestling, in my opinion, a heel isn't meant to be loved behind the scenes. You can't go, hey, this person is an amazing wrestler. I love that
this
they're
one-
a good performer. I don't want to believe that about Baron Corbin. Everybody's just piling up the beers. Baron Corbin, I think, does a phenomenal job. I'm a huge fan of Baron Corbin, and they can be wrong. I don't care.
We're gonna
But
need the whole keg.
Roman Reigns is still going to win this, though, because it's Roman Reigns.
Give your prediction at the end as well, because we'll move on after this to your thoughts on Baron.
I go back to the whole, you got to have the guys look really strong going in the Royal Rumble, and I think Roman Reigns is going to be one of the hands-on favorites to win the Royal Rumble, whether it's a popular decision or not. And I do think at the end of the day, the big dog will chew his food and enjoy it, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to.
It's his yard.
It's not even hell, though. It's not even the good food. But at the end of the day, yeah, no, I mean, the good guy has to come out. Roman Reigns, like you said, like the babyface needs to win this match, especially with Robert Roode's, I don't know.
Unfortunate suspension.
Yeah, enjoying the stuff you're not allowed to do too much. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's glorious, right? But with that being said, to answer a question about Baron Corbin, I do think he's a good heel in the sense he's exactly what the WWE Universe doesn't want. But at the same time, you're going to do him a disservice if you think that he deserves to be in the main event all the time, because he does have a good in-ring game to be a great mid-card heel and serve a purpose. I just don't think the main event's that purpose because, to be honest, there's just too many people in that company that are better than him in the ring.
Okay. Fair enough. I see both your points.
Mine's
agree with
better. Yeah.
Haha, politically neutral. Mike.
Switzerland
our next
over here.
match, we got 2 more left, if I remember correctly.
We talked about stealing the show, but here's a cop-out right here.
Well, speaking of stealing the show, we might talk about this second last, but I think this might actually go on last tonight.
Okay.
For the Women's Tag Team Championships, the Kabuki Warriors defending against Becky Lynch and Charlotte.
I like what they've done with this. The only thing that I haven't liked about the whole setup as far as this goes is the way that they sort of use Natalya as a bit of a lame duck, for lack of a better way to put it. Natalya beat Asuka when they faced off, and Natalya wasn't even a part of the original tag team opportunity that they got. I believe it was now about 2 months ago when they first went over to England. That sort of kick-started this whole feud between Becky and Charlotte versus the Kabuki Warriors. I think that was sort of a little bit of a misstep because it was huge for Natalya. She was only the third person in WWE to beat Asuka, behind obviously Charlotte and Carmella. So to not capitalize on that, I think that's a huge missed opportunity. But what can you do? It's like not ordering the beef. It's a huge mistake. But,
Yeah, but I got the chicken tenders.
but I do like the way that they've gone about this feud. It's very rare that I think that you can utilize a handicap match as well as they have. Not only with Charlotte, but with Becky as well. Getting 2 different results out of it, really inspiring them to come together. You talked about the oddball tag team. They've done a great job of making us believe that Becky and Charlotte, we all know their history, feel like the odd couple tag team.
Right.
And I'm really excited to watch this match. If it headlines, I do think Parrish, because we always do at the end anyways, I do think you see the chance of a title change here. But I don't think it will. I think that they've really, despite the fact that it's a non-title match, they're invested in Bray Wyatt. I think, not to give too much away on my end, but you see the return of Daniel Bryan tonight. And I think that that's main event worthy. So Kabuki Warriors hold on to the tag team championships. We are heading into the Royal Rumble, so I think that there is some sort of reason that Becky takes the loss, and you see Asuka and Becky heading into the Royal Rumble again.
So I'm going to agree. I think that, or I'm going to say that the Kabuki Warriors are going to retain because, and here's my opinion with this. I honestly think that Asuka and Kairi Sane are just really great wrestlers, and I just don't feel like they get the wins that they need to. And I know you can say Asuka obviously had her undefeated streak on the main roster that felt far less impressive than it needed to, or than it should have, in my opinion. NXT Asuka was super great, and Kairi Sane's amazing as well. I always feel like they undervalue the women's title and the champions at the time. This was crowned in February, and it's already changed hands so many times, and every single time it has, I've always said, that felt like a very underwhelming run. I think if you want to make these titles feel important, you got to keep them on the Kabuki Warriors, and you have to have them beat Becky and Charlotte. This year, Becky was probably one of the most overperformers, and Charlotte's been one of the most overperformers in her entire career in the WWE. Yeah. And I think that, honestly, I don't think Kairi Sane and Asuka are over enough, and I think they need this win to continue their reign of dominance.
Alrighty, Parrish, your thoughts?
I'm going to actually go you one step further. I think the one person that needs this win more than anybody right now is Kairi Sane. And I do believe that this is the best time for WWE. I don't want to always throw contract negotiations out there, but if you don't make Kairi Sane look or feel like a star right now, why would she want to stay with WWE when she knows there's other options out there? And right now, I do believe this is the make or break time of Kairi Sane with WWE. And I do believe that her hitting her elbow on Becky Lynch for the 1-2-3 is the right move here. And I do believe you come back to Monday Night Raw with that match for the women's title. And I do believe that the Kabuki Warriors should retain this. I also want to just throw out, why are the only title matches tag team titles tonight? That is absolutely ridiculous in the WWE at this point with the amount of titles they have. But I do think going into the Royal Rumble, Charlotte is not going to take a loss because I think she is primed to be a main player in the female Royal Rumble in January. And I do believe the Kabuki Warriors are going to win because I'd love to see the team that beat them be the team of Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose.
A couple thoughts on that. I do think, I like the fact that titles aren't defended on every show. Now, do they need to be defended at a fairly consistent pace, or should you see them often? Yes, you should, but I think that the fact that, so the United States Championship with Rey Mysterio, with, whether it be the Intercontinental, Shinsuke, whatever it may be, and there are still rumors that a Shinsuke match could happen, and I think something we'll touch on in a second, but I like the idea that if there's not really someone who has stepped it up, if there's not a program, if there's not something along those lines, there's no need to defend it. As long as, you know, maybe you see a backstage segment or maybe there is, like you see with the Raw Tag Team Championship. Sorry. hard to talk after clandestine.
Well,
You see stuff like that. I think that if you don't have the right championship match to make that title feel important, it is better to not have that match than to have a match at all. So, especially when you've already got an open challenge happening on the card, there's not really a need to do that for me.
And here's a fun fact about the TLC pay-per-view and the United States title. The United States title has never once been defended at a TLC pay-per-view.
That was something I learned today.
Perish with the knowledge today.
It was on Twitter or Instagram. I don't remember.
And my last point on this one is you look at how good Asuka's been at the TLC pay-per-view. 2 years ago, she makes her debut. Last year, TLC, she wins the SmackDown Women's Championship for the first time. What could happen this year?
And I think that's great. Yeah. So I think
Nobody's ready for Asuka.
I agree. Mike, I think we're into our final, at least announced match of the card.
Absolutely.
Lay it on us, my friend.
Of course, I leave this last because, Anthony jumped the gun earlier and started talking about matches early.
It's okay, he's new to the show.
Yeah, we'll give him that.
That's how I do it.
He's very excited, so
Yeah,
if he
man.
puts everything out there right away, it's understandable.
It's like a teaser for right now.
Plus, we're paid by the job, not by the hour.
Fair enough. Bray Wyatt and The Miz. One-on-one.
Someone else take this one first. I got a lot of thoughts.
Oh, please.
I don't want to go off.
Anthony, let's start it off.
No, okay.
Yeah,
So
since you already started it off an hour ago.
there
Yeah.
you. Well, fair enough. I'm very excited for this, as this is going to be the first time that Bray Wyatt is going to be competing as Firefly Bray Wyatt as opposed to the Fiend Bray Wyatt. And like you had kind of alluded to earlier yourself with the whole return of Daniel Bryan thing,
You did it
wasn't
first. And
shut
I
up.
gave a spoiler alert. People could have chosen to not tune in.
I probably would say that I agree with you pretty much on almost everything that you said. I don't think that Firefly Funhouse Bray is going to necessarily lose. I don't think he's going to get pinned, but I definitely think we're going to see the return of Daniel Bryan and probably another feud, in my opinion, between The Fiend and Daniel Bryan, or a continuation of what they already had.
Fair enough, Parrish.
Philip Rivers sucks as a quarterback, but
I
with
always
this
know
match,
that TV being here is a bad idea.
all right, especially with football.
Let's not talk about football yet. Come on.
Okay,
Foosball.
it's the devil. But I do believe that this is a very curious match for me for The Miz, because it's another match for The Miz to show from a personal level how he responds from being personally attacked. And I think we saw this with Shane McMahon earlier this year at WrestleMania, but I'm having issues believing in The Miz as a tough guy.
We saw this with Shane McMahon earlier in the year. He said Parrish reminding me of one of the worst things of the year.
Well, you know what? Sometimes the truth hurts.
Fair enough.
And this is one of those times, but at the end of the day, I do believe you're going to see a Fiend teaser. You're going to see Daniel Bryan involved. I think the big thing with this match is we're going to see Bray Wyatt defeat The Miz.
Okay.
But we're also, I do believe this is the best match on this card, not only to close the show, but to give us that surprise ending. And I do think the WWE knows this is a match that doesn't have a lot of steam. I do think this match is going to give us some steam.
There. Like I said, I've got a lot of thoughts. You think it's got no steam? I think it's one of the best built matches on this card.
No, I'm saying the show as a whole, not the match,
Oh, okay, there you
but
go.
the show as a whole. Everybody keeps kind of forgetting it. It's very close to Survivor Series, too. And I think the big and important part of this is that they need to close the year off strong here, and I do believe Bray Wyatt is the perfect guy for that moment, and I do think this is a very interesting aspect, especially when you think about the history between Daniel Bryan and The Miz,
Yeah.
and then you feed in with Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, and all that's... I mean... This is going to be the one match, I believe, at the end of the pay-per-view, you can either be very disappointed with, or you're going to be wholly about it. And that, I think, is an interesting concept.
Sounds good. Now, I'll try and be as quick as I can with this because I've got a couple things I want to close this show out with. But I think that just to get it over with quickly, Bray Wyatt wins by DQ. Daniel Bryan's going to interfere. We haven't seen him, obviously, since the attack happened couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it is by this point. I think that Daniel Bryan's going to come back and interrupt this match in some way, shape, or form. I think we're getting set up for a triple threat at the Royal Rumble. I would absolutely love to
Spencer's
see.
your mic on?
I don't know. I believe it is. It should be.
This whole time.
Now it is. Oh,
Can you hear me? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I think that you're going to see Daniel Bryan, The Miz, and Bray Wyatt, The Fiend Bray Wyatt, in a triple threat at the Royal Rumble. Just to reiterate, I think we're going to get there because The Miz is interfered with on the behalf of Daniel Bryan in this match. Bryan's going to attack Bray Wyatt. I've never liked non-title matches because you do get that little bit of, well, beat the champion to get a shot at the champion. I've never sort of liked that trope. It's like if you beat the Stanley Cup champion, you immediately get a shot at the cup. You just don't. I've never really liked that about WWE, and that's what worries me about this match is you see The Miz get a clean win over Firefly Bray Wyatt, as we're calling him. And I just think that that would be very, very silly at this point to have Bray Wyatt take any sort of loss. He is, despite what happened, as you mentioned, at Hell in a Cell, still the hottest thing going in professional wrestling, not just WWE, in professional wrestling. And to not be capitalizing on that time and time and time again, it's just silly to me. So, again, triple threat at the Royal Rumble because Daniel Bryan interferes. Bray Wyatt gets the win by DQ to close out 2019 in WWE Pay-Per-View programming.
Could this be the first time we see Bray Wyatt and The Fiend in the same night?
That would be very, very cool. I'd love it.
I would not throw it
Now,
past.
what I want to ask you here, Mike, before we close out, I want to include you on this as well. 2019 drawing to a close as far as professional wrestling goes. What was your favorite moment of the year for professional wrestling? Mike, I'll start with you. You haven't gotten a lot of opinions. We've been having a fairly guided show this week. We're on our best behavior.
I hate best of.
Just pick one.
I don't
Grump.
have one. There's a lot of them.
You grump. You grouch.
All right, I'll choose
Go
one.
ahead. I'm like, nope, I'm out.
All right, so
It doesn't matter what you think. What was the best of?
well, we're probably going to disagree.
Simply put, Bob McKenzie gets to have no pick. I have no pick. I'm moving on.
Shut up,
For me
Bob.
personally, it came down to Double or Nothing. I think personally the match between Cody and Dustin is my favorite match of the year. I just absolutely love that match. I've gone back and I've watched it probably about 10 times. The storytelling that those two can put on in a ring, and the fact that it's not even that much of like a wrestling match, more of just a brutal fight between two brothers. I don't know, the storyline really captivated me, and that was the one that I was the most invested in of anything this year.
Sounds good, Parrish.
I think my favorite. I hate production. My favorite moment of 2019.
I love you, Parrish.
Shut up, Bob. I think my favorite moment of 2019, I think, regardless if I thought Kofi Kingston made a great world champion or not, that's totally different. But the story they were able to tell and the fact that they actually went to that level, I think it was a big step to just everything. And I thought it was a very meaningful step. But, and you know what? I'm also going to throw this out there. I also very much appreciate Undisputed Era being champions throughout this, because they are the best thing going in WWE and pro wrestling right now.
Well, to paraphrase the great Road Dogg, I've got 3 words for you. Doctor of
Drink more
Thugonomics. The fact that John Cena returned to WrestleMania as the Doctor of Thugonomics was the single most entertaining moment of the year for me. I have not reacted like that whatsoever. Very different reaction for me, but other than the introduction of The Fiend, I think, like I mentioned earlier, he is the coolest thing going. Everybody has been absolutely enthralled with Firefly Funhouse. Absolutely the coolest thing to come along, potentially even in this decade as far as I'm concerned. AEW coming around is huge. There's been a great year for pro wrestling, but those would be my top 2 contenders. Mike, the production side has one moment of the year.
Wait, the moment of the year you said on a pay-per-view, right?
Yes. No, just moment of the year. Sorry.
last night.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
sorry. I don't.
My return to the ring. Thank you, Mike.
Everything started going uphill from that
Thank
point.
you, Robert.
Seriously, guys, just want to give a quick moment here about Clandestine Society last night.
Done.
I've literally been given notes coming in about the quality of the pay-per-view that we had last night. Not the show.
The pay-per-view.
People were calling it a pay-per-view, which downright shocks me.
Yeah.
I think it would shock a lot of people.
It
was
shocked the
incredible.
system. It definitely did.
Yeah. So, just to give you guys a quick heads up, as you get to watch gang symbols and all that shit,
Yeah. Grow up.
We're so gangster.
Very.
you guys are going to be able to check out Clandestine Society until tomorrow morning for free. After that, you're going to have to wait till I get the VOD done.
Beautiful. Mike, you took the words right out of my mouth as we close it up here on the final Over the Top Rope Live of 2019 of the decade.
Females
Overall,
main eventing WrestleMania. Can't overlook that. That's huge.
that's
true.
absolutely huge as well. There's been a ton in pro wrestling, and I think that's an entirely
That
different
deserves
show.
mention. That deserves mention.
Parrish, that's an entirely different show
I know.
whatsoever that we will have for you live at some point in the next little bit. But Anthony, I want to thank you for joining us before we close it out here on OTTR Live. Let the WCSN fans know where they can find you outside of course, the Win Column Sports Network.
Well, that is the best place to find me.
That
but
it is.
But outside of that, you guys can follow me on Twitter at WrestleSode or on Facebook.com/WrestleSode. Or you can check out my website at WrestleSode.com. But as Spencer said, the Win Column Sports Network really is the place to be. And that's where you can find me.
That it is. Parrish, yourself as well. Plug your social media. Plug your shit now that you are back as an active pro wrestler.
You can find me on the Twitter at Chris Parrish. You can find me on Instagram at Chris.Parrish, even though Clandestine got that wrong initially. They fixed it. Good for them. However, I'm now also introducing Tumblr a little bit. So, I mean, that's interesting.
Joining the youths of today.
I'm trying to figure that crap out.
Do you got a MySpace page too? MySpace page?
You guys
know
can
what?
find me on
ASL,
Nexopia.
bro. ASL. MSN Messenger for life.
Are you on Nexopia?
Yeah. My ICQ number is
But you know
1834.
what? You know where you can really find me at? Is right here at Beercade YEG with the $4 beers. The menu that is absolutely glorious with more specials than you can possibly imagine. Than I don't know. I was gonna make a really different joke, but you know what?
Thank
I'm
you
not.
for censoring.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And of course, you can find the Win Column Sports Network, your source for previews, reviews, breaking news, and interviews. Pretty well anywhere podcasts are played, pretty well anywhere that articles are written. WinColumnSports.ca is your source for absolutely all of it. However, you can take a look at pretty well any social media platform. We're there. We're bad. We're nationwide, as ZZ Top like to say. Mike, I'll let you close this one out, my friend.
I'm gonna shock the guys. I actually brought up another slide, which of course they don't see because I haven't got.
Oh, boo.
Our next broadcast of OTTR Live from Beercade YEG is actually going to be January 26, 2020, as we cover the Royal Rumble.
Very excited. You guys will want to join us for
You
that
need your
one.
best vision to watch the first event in 2020.
It is. Oh man, I knew someone would make a joke.
I had to.
Nicely done.
I had
But you will not want to miss
Wrestle
that
Kingdom.
one. Whether you come down live, whether you join us here, whether you tune in to OTTR Live. Not only does the Win Column Sports Network have a lot of great new things coming in the new year for you, but Beercade YEG, the home of Edmonton Wrestling as well, their Royal Rumble pay-per-view parties are always a can't-miss event for Anthony. Sorry, I point at you. For Anthony, for Parrish, for Mike, for myself. I am Spencer Love, closing out the year in Win Column Sports Network live videos. Thank you for joining us on OTTR Live tonight. Past, present, future, to quote the WWE. We always appreciate it. Thanks for joining us.
James will beat the Colts.